What is up, Steeler Nation? We are back for another great week of shows with a very special guest, someone who's killing it in the sports scene, as always. But before we get to her, we want to shout out our partnerships. Mike, first and foremost, how are you?
I'm good. I was showing this off to you right before we went on air. I got my Angry Run shirt in finally.
There you
Shout
go.
out
It's
Kyle
going to be
Brandt.
Great guest, great shirt.
Our friends Naj,
Jalen,
and of course, our
Thunder
buddy
and Lightning right there.
We miss him.
There you
I
have
know
it.
he's doing well over there in Utah. And I know we got some comments on our last show with Marvell Smith. Go check that out if you missed it. Great show. People are saying, bring Jalen back on. I miss Jalen. So we'll try and hook that up at some point this summer. But let's let him breathe a little bit. The guy just had a big time season. Took a lot of hits. Let's give him some space, you know?
Definitely. So, hey, we want to give a big shout out to our guys over at City Wheelhouse, where the bar is set. Tires for all cars and trucks can now be purchased online at steelcitywheelhouse.com. And this is it. Financing is available, so they'll work with any budget. Go see John and John down there doing great things. City Wheelhouse. And then you can go to the, beer distributor or wherever you get your favorite beer and switch it up a little bit. Or you may already be drinking Stoney's because you listen to the sick podcast, Steeler Crazy. Why settle for a run-of-the-mill, mass-produced beer when you can have the best? Upgrade your beer game, raise your standards, and taste the difference that Stoney's beer can deliver. And sadly, it's delivered more for us than the Steelers have this past season. But we're being optimistic. Just deep breaths. But we have a great guest. So let's get to it. Juliana, run it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Aaron Smith shields. Flacco, Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast.
Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
All right, JY. She is an analyst for CBS Sports. Just kicks some ass over there at the Super Bowl with her coverage. Contributor of the Pick Six podcast, and I think the founder of Moxie Bets. We're excited to have her on today. Like you said, it's none other than Katie Mox.
Hey guys. Katie. Hi. Thanks for having. First of all, I love that intro. It was sick.
Oh, nice.
Shout out to our producer.
Play on words, but we can throw you a shift. I like that. We might have to make that one of our teasers for the show moving forward. That was absolutely perfect.
Content.
Well, it's going to be a sick show, of course, because we have you on. We're really excited. Thanks so much for joining us. And we were, of course, we were checking out that studio you got there pre-show. We, of course, saw some Niners items. So I have to start by asking, are you over the loss yet? How are things emotionally over there?
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm kind of over it, right? Y'all are fans. And so you understand. It's really sick to be a sports fan, right? We put so much of our hopes and dreams and happiness in a team. And you work your way up to the Super Bowl and, you think it's going to be your year. Of course, you don't get to the Super Bowl and think you're going to lose. Of course, we knew it was going to be an uphill battle going up against Patrick Mahomes. You want to be the best. You got to be, you got to beat the best. And the Niners had to play a perfect game if they were going to win that game. And they didn't. I mean, I think they played well. I don't think that Purdy played bad. I thought the defense was phenomenal, certainly in the front part of it. Obviously, Greenlaw going out was a huge loss. All of a sudden, Travis Kelce could get some things done. But, there was the muffed punt return that ended up giving them their first touchdown. At that point, I was like, oh, no. Oh, no, because you just know it's happening. It's Patrick Mahomes. I'm over there on the freaking 10 or the 15. So I'm starting to get over it in the sense where I'm kind of used to it. Outside of this year, we lost two, back-to-back NFC championship games. Before that, we lost two Super Bowls, not in a row, but the last two that we've been to. So I've just actually been watching that Netflix documentary on the Buffalo Bills. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Went to the Super Bowl 4 times, lost 4. And they were the laughing stock of the league. And everyone's like, oh, I don't even want to watch because they're going it. And I feel like the 49ers are turning into that team a little bit where you're like, well, they're not going to get it done. So long story long, not really.
It could be worse. You could be in our shoes. And you
Yes.
said they didn't play a perfect game. I think the 49ers did play a perfect game in week 1 of the regular season. And I'm
Oh,
throwing you all the way back, which
Yeah.
it feels like
Yeah.
a lifetime ago, to the season opener in Pittsburgh, PA, in which a lot of folks around us were fairly optimistic about the Steelers in that game.
That
What
humbled
do you-
us real quick.
We don't want to think about that at all, but what do you remember from that butt whipping?
So yeah, so funny coming on this podcast. I was thinking back to that first week, and just kind of reminiscing on the whole season. And I was nervous going into that game. I thought, okay, the 49ers could win this game, but y'all have been really good first week out the gate, and certainly at home. All of the statistics were like the 49ers aren't going to win this game. Kenny Pickett looked electric in the preseason. The team looked really, really good, and we knew that Purdy was coming off of the injuries. We didn't exactly know what we were going to get from him, or if he just had that incredible ride and then he was going to come crash and burn. So I was nervous for that game, but then the 49ers just came out and they punched down the mouth, and then it just never got any better for you. So for us on the other side of it, we were like, oh my God, this team is incredible. And then, we rode that wave for a while, and then we had that 3-game losing streak that kind of brought the 49ers back down to earth. But I'm sure you guys have talked about this a million times, but your experience watching that game and watching Kenny Pickett, was that when you knew that maybe he wasn't the guy?
Yeah, and then honestly, we were just going to kind of get your general take on that. But I think maybe that was a little too early to jump to conclusions at that time. He had an excellent preseason, and I had picked your 49ers to win the Super Bowl before the season. So I knew that it was going to be an insane challenge going up against you guys in week 1. But we like to have a supreme level of optimism in Pittsburgh, right, Jordan? And that of course did not. That wasn't even close.
It's wearing off a little bit. I mean, I don't even know. They're gonna have to find a new word for optimism, because at this point we're just it's depression.
Blind faith. Yeah, a little bit of just blind faith. But it is waning, and now it's waning even more because of the starting quarterback situation, the uncertainty, I should say. Obviously, you're out there on the West Coast for the most part, but your general thoughts on Kenny Pickett. It's a big national story right now, and I know Jordan wants to talk to you a little bit about quarterback situation moving forward, but just some general takeaways on the Steelers quarterback situation.
It's so interesting because I really liked Kenny Pickett, even coming out of the draft. I think everybody liked this story of the kid that went to Pitt, going to the Steelers. And I actually went to like his last game of the season. I was doing a show with a company called The Game Day called Ride with Katie. And that was one of our final things that we did was we went to a pick him. So I got to see him play there. And just let me say, before I get into the Kenny Pickett stuff, the people of Pittsburgh are the most amazing humans on the planet. And I'll just tell you a quick little thing. I'd never been to Pittsburgh before. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Went to a Pitt game. We were going around the tailgates. First of all, everyone is so nice, inviting you in, taking shots with you, feeding you, all of the things. Like, it is like, if you're just there, you're kind of a part of the family. And someone there was like, yeah, well, because Pittsburgh is 70% of the people never leave. Not that they never leave, but like it's just generations, people who stay there. And so I had put my purse down on the floor in a parking lot, basically. And I had a big, coat on because it was freezing. It was in December. And all of a sudden we're going to the game. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know where my purse is. And anywhere else in the world, your purse is toast, right? I had my passport in there because I couldn't find my license that day. I had my passport, wallet, everything. And I'm just like, oh my God. But I had this weird feeling. I'm like, I feel like it's just gonna turn up, like, because these people are so great. And all of a sudden, an hour into the game, thank God someone else had my ticket on their phone. I get a DM from someone being like, hey, we have your purse. It's with the traffic cop, like that's right outside the stadium. It'll be there for you when you leave the game. I had business cards that were in there. And so people had turned it in, somehow got it to the police. And the girl found me on Instagram and DM'd me. And we did. We left the game. I came out and she was directing traffic. She was like, it's just in the car. Just go ahead and go inside my car and grab it. So love the people of Pittsburgh. So I love that story, full circle here. With
Pittsburgh is probably the only place, and I'll cut you off real quick before Pickett, where you would get that purse back with more in it than you left it with. Somebody would stick a terrible towel in that. Somebody would stick an Iron City beer, maybe an extra shot for you. It's the only place where you would have more in that purse when it's returned opposed to less.
Well, the thing is, like, I didn't find my purse. My purse found me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people cared enough to be like, we need to get this back to the owner. And within an hour, it had found me. And that's why I was just like, I absolutely love Pittsburgh. So I find myself rooting for y'all in a lot of different things. And so for that too, I had like a soft spot for Kenny Pickett, and I loved this story. And I loved, in his rookie season, how gutsy he was. And he threw a lot of interceptions, but I love that he was taking those chances. I love that he wasn't afraid. Coming into this season, looking at the preseason, again, I was worried about the 49ers in this first game, especially when you look at your defense. And anytime you go up against TJ Watt, you're worried about your quarterback. You know what I mean? Here is Brock Purdy coming off of that UCL surgery, and he's got to face TJ Watt. So I was really worried about it. And in that game, Pickett, not Purdy, looked lost. And the offense couldn't get moving, and he couldn't get the ball going. And so I was a little bit worried, but to your guys' point, it was like, all right, well, this is the 49ers. This is a formidable defense that they're going up against. I didn't expect it to be that bad, but it wasn't incredibly shocking. So we're like, we'll give him some more time. But then as the season progressed, and let's be fair, he was out on injury for quite a bit. He was banged up for quite a bit, had to have, the surgery, but you saw Trubisky get in there and he wasn't really all that much better. And then you see Mason Rudolph come in, and I'm not sold on Mason Rudolph. I'll go ahead and say that right now. I know he won the last 3 games of the season. He gave them a chance, in the postseason there, but it's still Mason Rudolph. I feel like we've seen what we've needed to see from Mason Rudolph. And what's interesting about y'all's quarterback situation right now, I've heard some rumblings that the team has been advocating or politicking, if you will, for Mason Rudolph over Kenny Pickett. I don't think that Kenny Pickett's the guy. I don't think he's the guy. He's got small hands. Maybe that doesn't matter, but it doesn't seem to work very well for him. Doesn't seem like he's got a good command of the locker room if people are politicking for Mason Rudolph. But if you could potentially get a Justin Fields, or I'm hearing a Russell Wilson, I like both of those guys better than Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, that was a perfect segue into my next question. So we're gonna play a little game. It's predict where these players will land. So let's start off with Russell Wilson, because I think Chad Johnson today on his pod. Everyone has a podcast now, I guess. Whatever. Whatever platform it was, I seen, and he said that there's a little birdie telling him that Russell will. At this point, I'm ready to see a Tom Brady. I hope not, but Tom Brady in a Steelers jersey, because the rumors, and I know it's February and people are bored. The draft isn't here yet, but it's it's entertaining to say the least. But I take it with a grain of salt. So let's start with Russell Wilson. Where do you see him?
Not with the Broncos, that's for sure, which is interesting because I felt like when Sean Payton got there, it was just gonna turn around. And while he did have a better season this year, I mean, his mobility is down. Where do I see Russell Wilson? It's got to be a team that's looking for a short-term solution. And the interesting thing is this we've got a good draft of quarterbacks coming up. So it's like, if you have the capital, I mean, I guess I could see him with the Steelers.
Ooh,
here we go.
But,
Katie
but
Mox, Russell Wilson to the Steelers.
All right, because I think a short-term solution. You can't sign Mason Rudolph. If they sign Mason Rudolph again, if they extend him, then that's just what this is. If he goes elsewhere, that leaves some room. And Tomlin and Wilson, and I think behind, that defense, he could get some stuff done. Look, he's not what he used to be. But again, y'all are looking at a short-term solution here. Yeah.
And another name that came up was Kirk Cousins. I think that the biggest thing with him is the price tag that came with him. I never really thought, I felt like that was a dream in itself. But
I think he stays. I think that they give him another shot. I mean, look, he played incredible this season. Up until he got hurt, he completely dismantled the 49ers and made a joke out of us. You guys talked about that week one. That I think it was a Monday night football game or Thursday night. I don't know. It was primetime. And that was one of the most embarrassing games for the 49ers this season. I mean, Kirk Cousins just cut them up. And I think that that's a very loyal city. I mean, just like Pittsburgh, there are some organizations who are loyal. And whenever
I think he wants to be there and they want him there. It's mutual, definitely.
Yes.
All right. So before my next question, I do have one more because this, I guess you can say, came across our desk today. Jimmy G, he's out for the first 2 games, but I'll say this about Jimmy G personally: when he is on the field, I will take him any day. But it's like, when is he on the field? Like, when is he? I don't even know what like his over under is on how many games he plays a season. I'm a big Jimmy G guy. I always liked him, but I don't hate it.
Bobbleheads. That's the Ken doll of bobbleheads right there. That is what you're pointing at.
That's
Look,
great.
I am a long-standing Jimmy G apologist. Okay, so I will go ahead and say, I mean, first of all, even the
that's an original too. Look at the beard. Wow,
that's a lot of beard for Jimmy G.
Like, honestly, that looks like you a little bit.
Yeah, my ass. That's a good-looking dude over there, Jimmy G.
It's a good-looking dude. Well, yes, very good-looking dude. Well, I was season ticket holder before I moved to the East Coast for work. I was a season ticket holder for the Niners for like 7 years. And so usually at the beginning of the season, you get a bobblehead. Like, I've got a Kittle one over there. I still haven't got a Purdy one. They have maybe next year. But so Jimmy G is interesting because, again, I'm a long-standing apologist of Jimmy G, and much like you, I would go to battle with people about him because the guy is a winner, but he's not a game changer. And I know Purdy had this whole thing: is he a game manager, a game changer? Jimmy G is a game manager, right? He's not going out and making those plays that are going to win the game for you. In fact, he's made some plays that will lose the game for you. However, he within the right system, he can get it done for you, and he moves the ball. And as long as you have a good running game and you have a good defense, Jimmy G is a very serviceable and a very good, and again, a winning quarterback. I think he was a casualty of war almost with the Raiders, because once they got rid of the coach, they didn't want anything that he wanted in there. Now, if you're going to tell me that Aiden O'Connell is better than Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm going to tell you you're insane. Yeah, absolutely insane. So that whole decision to bench him was ridiculous. I think it's also kind of funny now too that he got suspended for
PEDs,
prescription drugs. Like maybe what, he take a Vicodin or something, I don't know, but so I don't think it's anything crazy, because I don't think he cares. He's getting paid either way where he goes.
He made out his career earnings. I looked at it today. I was like, God bless you, man. Get it done.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's done. He's not going to go be a starting quarterback. He's not going to be a starting quarterback anywhere, right? Where do you think he goes and he starts?
Yeah, see, my personal take on it, that when I first seen that, I was like, okay, they're doing too much. But then I thought about it. With him being suspended those first 2 games, they can start Kenny Pickett and say, look, these 2 games, you prove yourself, or Jimmy's coming in when he's off suspension, and boom. I like
Jimmy
that.
To the Steelers?
Why not? Why not? I don't hate it at this point.
I don't hate it either. I
Big
never
Ben
even
can come out of retirement, and it might give us a better chance to win than what we have currently on this roster.
Well,
I kind of am like 70% serious about that.
Wait, I kind of like this. You have a good run game. You've got that nice 2-headed monster. Obviously, you've got the defense.
Shirt.
He has some weapons.
I don't.
And you know what I will say about him? He's a locker room guy. Everybody loves Jimmy G.
And we're a blue collar city, but we're not the prettiest city. So we could use.
So he can bring some.
We could use Jimmy G in the bird. That's all
I wouldn't have thought about that, but now I actually love that. Jimmy G to Pittsburgh.
But you're saying he's going to retire.
Or he plays in Pittsburgh. I mean,
there you have it.
Because my thing is I don't think that he's starting anywhere. And
I agree.
Is he really going to go be another backup? He got jerked around with the 49ers. I mean, rightfully so, because like you said, he couldn't stay healthy. He gets jerked around. Yeah. So if he gets a starting role, yes. I don't think he's going to go play backup. Why not? You got hundreds of millions of dollars.
All right. I have one more question. And this is, we always like to give, our national guest this question, because we hear so much local chatter about it. How does the national media perceive Mike Tomlin? maybe even you personally, but from your colleagues and that sort of thing? I think it's always a good question because it's definitely different from the local.
Yeah, he's polarizing. It's like 50-50. I would say some people are like, Mike Tomlin is one of the greatest coaches of all time. The Steelers have never had a losing season. The other half of it is 50%. That's actually failing, even though it's technically not losing, you're getting a C or a D or an F, depending on what the season is. So my personal feelings is he is, and, I don't know if this is I mean it as a nice thing, a leader of men. I know that obviously Jeff Saturday said that and it was a bit of a joke, but I do think that Mike Tomlin is a leader of men. And I think that his men buy into him and play for him. And so I think that is something that always is going to be attractive. Now, do I think maybe it's time to move on? Y'all hold on to your coaches and your players for a very long time. And the loyalty is very strong, which I respect, but sometimes you got to shake things up a bit.
I agree.
I would have liked to see Tomlin go to the Chargers this year. I think that that's an organization that needs someone like Mike Tomlin, needs that leader of men. Now they got it with Jim Harbaugh, a little bit different. But I don't think it would be a bad thing to shake things up in Pittsburgh. But I would say he's polarizing. Some people absolutely love him, and some people think it's time for him to move on. And I'm on the latter side. It's not that I don't think he's a good coach. I just think sometimes when things have been stale for so long.
That's exactly how I feel. It's all right to say Mike Tomlin is a good coach, but it's the same thing with Andy Reid. I always use that analogy with the Eagles. Of course he's going to get a job and everyone's going to be knocking at his door, but good luck to him. And maybe that's what it will take to turn this ship around because
it's stale.
I mean, maybe if we were like the Browns or something, this would be acceptable. But, you walk in, James Harrison said it at the Super Bowl. You walk into the facility and see those 6 Lombardis. I mean, that's what we're here to do. We're not here to, hey, non-losing seasons, So.
Don't rub the 6. The 49ers still have 5, so be careful.
We've been on the.
Hey, I picked the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. But that's the second time I should have never bet against Patrick Mahomes. Get you every time.
It's interesting to hear you say that. I was just going to say is that generally when we have somebody on who doesn't live locally, they immediately say, amazing coach, give him an extension, Hall of Famer. Those are like the first 3 things. Yeah. And you said.
And you're on the East Coast. We keep thinking she's on the West Coast because I did the same thing when I went to book.
She's got the y'all going on.
The Bay Area. She's from the Bay Area, but where are you at?
You got the Southern drawl.
Well, so I'm all over. I'm from the Bay Area.
Viewers.
I'm from the Bay Area, which is why I'm a big San Francisco 49ers fan. I work now in Connecticut because the CBS Sports HQ studio is here in Stamford, Connecticut. And I just happen to have several friends that are from Alabama and also from Kentucky. And so that's where I've picked up the y'all. I think it's an efficient word. And so I've never lived in the South, but you all, you guys, or y'all. It's just an efficient word, so I use it.
Have you heard of the word yins?
No. Oh, yes. Well, Yinzer. That's what you call your Steelers
but you take off. It's just yins.
So
yins is y'all.
It's y'all.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what are yins doing? It'd be like, what are
y'all? You nailed it.
Eating chips and watching football.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
now, is it like in Philly, the John, which can be absolutely anything? That is confusing to me. It's a noun. It's a verb. It's
every place I feel like has their own universal language. Pittsburgh just literally has a whole dictionary of Pittsburghese. It's nuts, and and some of it isn't even spelling; it's pronunciation. It's insane.
Okay. All right.
Yins is definitely a synonym for y'all. Just right on. Just like you. Yeah, you know, you guys, a group of people. And we're strange.
Okay.
We're
the yins there.
Well, you know what? Next time I'm in Pittsburgh, I'm going to start throwing out the yins and see if people look at me weird.
You'll fit right in.
We figured you're already doing that. Maybe that's why the purse was returned.
Could have been. Yeah, I'm an honorary Yinzer as far as I could tell.
I mean, and you're on the Stick Podcast, Steeler Crazy. So now you're officially.
Come on.
You're nailed it.
Come on.
To baptize you in the 3 Rivers, Allegheny River. Next time you come, Pernani sandwich, whatever.
We got
it done.
So I had that sandwich, but I had it at the ballpark.
PNC Park baseball or
no. It's not called Heinz anymore. What's it called now?
Yeah. Acrisure Stadium. They're
Yeah,
still,
please.
it's still Heinz Field.
And it was okay, but I think there it's not the best sandwich, right?
Yeah,
You
it's
gotta
not
go
authentic.
outside.
You have to go down to the strip district for that. That's the original one.
Okay.
That's my hot take, because I don't like it. Anyways, I would not recommend it to somebody.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
I might get booted from this podcast. We might be asking you to have an 11th job and co-host this podcast. It was crazy. Yeah. Too dry for me. Dry fries, coleslaw. Like, I need a little bit of mayonnaise, some ranch dressing or something on a sandwich.
Yeah.
He's a wings guy. I like
I'm a
wings
pizza
too.
and wings
But I
guy.
do like Permane sandwich. So the coleslaw's
Okay.
the best part.
I'm getting booted out of the Berg after this show. But Katie, it has been such a blast. We got Jimmy G bobblehead, Steelers tailgate stories, everything thrown into this. We really appreciate it. Before we get you out of here, just give us that Rolodex again. Where can everybody find you? What's the next project? All those good things.
So now that football season is over, I do have a little bit of a break, which is great because, as y'all know, as Yins know, the football season is a grind. And so during the football season, you can catch me on that other pregame show on CBS Sports Network every Sunday from 8 a.m. Eastern to 12 p.m. I'm also on a primetime pregame show Mondays and Thursday nights. That's always leading up to the primetime games. You can find me as an analyst on CBS Sports HQ, sprinkled throughout the week on different programs. And I'm on Moxie Bets, which is my betting podcast with Omaha Productions and ESPN. That's on ESPN's YouTube channel. And the Pick Six podcast, I am also on. I'm off season. I sprinkle in here and there, but that is on NFL on CBS, their podcast, YouTube channel. And I think that's it for now. I got to tell you guys,
that's all.
I'm on a little bit of a break right now. We got back from the Super Bowl. The podcast is dark this week. My mom is visiting me, so I'm like, I don't know who I am or what I'm doing. You know, those like 3-day weekends. Where
You made time for us, and your mom's visiting you.
Yes, of course.
Thank you so much. We'll have to do it again. And
on behalf of all Yinzers.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Katie. Keep up the good work.
Lots of fun, man, and love hearing the story about respectable Yinzers at tailgates.
Yeah.
We've probably seen the opposite of that a few times. But I think, the majority of people in Pittsburgh are certainly tame and respectable and always happy to indoctrinate others who might not be Steelers fans into Steelers Nation, if only even for a tailgate or two. But that was a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, it does sound crazy, but I mean, what do you think? I didn't even really ask you about that Jimmy G take. I mean, you figure you give Kenny 2 games, go in there and show me what you got. Jimmy comes in and maybe, mentor Kenny a little bit. I don't know. At this point, like, I'm just like, it hurts my brain to even think about the Steelers quarterback situation. And it's February. I'm not buying. Of course, I'm going to retweet and, give opinions. That's what we're here to do. But at the end of the day, man, I'm scratching my head just as like anyone else. And quite honestly, I want Kenny Pickett to have, a couple games to see. So that's my take.
Yeah. My take is this. Do I think Jimmy Garoppolo can win a Super Bowl with the Pittsburgh Steelers? No. Or the opposite. Can the Steelers win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo? No. But I would rather have him than Ryan Tannehill. That's for damn sure. Yeah. I think Jimmy G can still play a little bit. I think that he, like Katie said, no pun intended, he's got moxie. He's still kind of motivated, I think, from what just happened with the Raiders. And Tannehill just seems like a lazy pickup to me. Oh, he knows Arthur Smith. He knows the system. He's a veteran. Won some games. He stinks. Unfortunately, I hope he's not watching this show. But he for me does not a whole lot. Like, if you either go out and take a risk and get Justin Fields.
I mean, that's what it is. Like, what do you want to do?
Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins, or I'd rather have Jimmy G over Ryan Tannehill. So that's my take. But it is an interesting idea. I didn't even factor in the 2-game suspension. That makes a lot of sense, because then you give Kenny Pickett just a short window, man, and you're like, put up a shot. You can't
say, hey, you had 2 games. Like, show us what you got.
Yeah, maybe it, rolls into 3 or something like that.
But let me ask you this, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah.
what do you think the turmoil in the locker room actually is? Do you think it's just guys that are going to Tomlin and being like, hey, I want Mason back, or hey, I want, like it just, we'll never know. Like everyone can speculate, even, the reporters, because, we're not in there, but it does make you think like, man, you got to have the locker room at the end of the day. It doesn't matter who you bring in. The locker room is the most important thing. And you have guys like Cam and, people that can step up in that locker room and say, look, this is a team, and it doesn't matter who's, but it's easier said than done, especially with the personalities that we have.
Yeah, listen, it's no secret to anybody that Kenny Pickett threw 7 touchdowns last year. If you're a receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers on your first contract, like George Pickens, guess what touchdown passes and receptions and yards do for you? They get you paid more money. If your quarterback is not providing that consistently at a high level, hell yeah, you're going to be a little bit upset. Do I think they are anti-Kenny Pickett? No, they probably respect him, in terms of his leadership. I think they probably are friends with him and think he's a good guy, but everyone want the football and they want productivity, and they got it when Mason Rudolph came in. So how can you not understand that they would be advocating for him? But at the same time, I think maybe there's a little part of them as well that were rubbed the wrong way by when Kenny Pickett didn't talk to the media at the end of the season. There's conflicting reports. Maybe he did, reject the idea of being a backup in that Seattle game. So maybe that rubbed people the wrong way as well. But I think at the end of the day, man, it just comes down to production.
We'll never know.
It comes down to production. Kenny didn't produce at a high rate. He won a lot of football games, but these guys want the ball in their hands as much as possible. And you see what happens when you get the ball in a guy like George Pickens' hands, like Rudolph did that first game when he came in against Cincinnati. Boom, immediately 2 touchdowns over 50 yards. And so I don't blame him one bit, but I also don't think it means like we hate Kenny like behind closed doors. It's not like that.
Yeah, and I don't think like it's our job. I love Kenny Pickett. I would love for him to come in and prove everyone wrong. But at the end of the day, if I was a betting man, which we are, shout out to DraftKings.
Shout out to Moxie's Picks. What was it?
Yeah, Moxie Picks.
Something like that. I'll pull it up again.
The thing about
Moxie
it is that Moxie Bets. There you have it.
Mookie Betts.
And you think about it, and it's like, if I was a betting guy, like you can't, what could you do? 13 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. I mean, I don't know who would be happy with that. So like I said, it's February. It's time to take a chill pill. Deep breath, Steeler Nation. We appreciate you. Katie, thank you. Love the shirt. Look at that. Thunder and lightning, angry runs. Shout out our guy, Jalen and Najee. Until next time, Steeler Nation, I'm Jay York Football. That's Mic'd Up Sports 1. This has been another great episode of the Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy. Tell your friends, your mom, your aunt, your grandmother, your uncles, sister. We're here all year. Take it away, Juliana.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.